The solution suddenly came to ENLIL. Reports started coming in that Xiaomi was rapidly approaching the solar system, and after had calculated its orbit, it looked like the planet was going to come pretty close to Earth this time around. ENLIL jumped on this and traveled to what today is close to Cape Horn in South Africa, where the Sirians had a huge astronomical center. He wanted to know exactly what this implied, because it could potentially take care of all his problems. The astronomers said that the ice caps in Antarctica and the Arctic would melt. There would be huge weather changes with earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, and eventually flooding. If they didn't do something, oceans would sweep in over land and take everything with it. Big parts of the world would be flooded, and everybody had to evacuate soon. Fortunately, however, with help from technology and monoliths in space, the scientists could steer the big incoming planet in a slightly different direction and perhaps save Earth. While the whole Sirian science community was working on a solution, an upcoming catastrophe was good news for ENLIL. He told the head scientists to hold off on any further attempts to save Earth. The scientists were baffled and protested, but when ENLIL got threatening, their voices silenced. ENLIL called upon his brother and explained his plans. Sami was going to be allowed to come close to Earth and create flooding and weather changes. He told Enki that he wanted all humanity and Nephilim to drown in the flood and no one was to be forewarned. As a commander, he ordered Enki to obey. Only his own, less developed humans, still working in the mines and as slaves and servants to the gods, were to be saved and taken to high ground or off the planet, temporarily, moved to one of the platforms, circling around Earth. Both Project Elohim and Project Erectus were to be terminated. EA protested loudly and long arguments followed. Although EA knew that his hands were tied, he had to follow orders, because his brother was in charge. In great fury, Enki left ENLIL's abode. As the incoming planet came closer, great earth changes started happening. There were sudden, unusual and numerous earthquakes, hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes, and other highly unusual phenomena taking place. EA decided to go against his brother after all, and went to his son, Utnapishtim, also known as Noah, and told him what was about to happen. He told his son to build an ark to save himself, his family, as many people as he could, the ones of fire, and warn others and tell them to quickly move up to the highest grounds they could think of. However, the rest of the population, the absolute majority, were left to perish. When Sami approached Earth and reached its closest point, hell broke loose on Earth. Enormous tidal waves swept over the lands and swallowed everything in its way. Millions of people and animals died, not understanding what was going on. The Sirians had already left the planet, and ENLIL was quite content, not understanding that Enki had saved his own men and women of fire. Until Sami finally got far enough from Earth to no longer pull on the magnetic field, Earth to a large degree was covered with water. In other places, mountain ranges that had previously been underwater now came to the surface and land and ocean changed position. Then, the water subsided and the land eventually dried out. Those who had survived slowly moved themselves down to lower ground again. And in time, the gods came back and ENLIL brought his own humans back to Earth and planned on having them rebuild the planet and start a new species. This time, humans would be less intelligent and more obedient, i.e. there would be no enhanced humans anymore, and EA would not be allowed to recreate them. Little did he know how wrong he was. Little did he know that both enhanced humans and some giants had survived the deluge. When he found out, his rage was beyond imagination.